Why is the Yalta Conference controversial? Have you ever wondered why the Yalta Conference stirs up so much debate? This meeting, held in February 1945, involved key leaders from the Allied powers. Franklin D. Roosevelt from the United States, Winston Churchill from the United Kingdom, and Joseph Stalin from the Soviet Union. They gathered to discuss plans for peace after the defeat of Nazi Germany. However, the decisions made during this conference have led to ongoing controversies, especially regarding the future of Eastern Europe. One major point of contention is how Stalin's Soviet Union gained control over Eastern Europe. At Yalta, Stalin promised free elections and self-determination for countries liberated from Nazi control, including Poland. But these promises were not kept. Instead, Stalin established communist governments loyal to Moscow, effectively imposing Soviet control over these nations for decades. Critics argue that this was a betrayal of the principle of national self-determination and a significant factor in the start of the Cold War. Western leaders like Roosevelt and Churchill are often criticized for conceding too much to Stalin. They accepted his assurances about free elections, despite evidence suggesting he intended to expand Soviet influence. This has led many to believe that Roosevelt and Churchill were either naive or too weary from the war to challenge Stalin's demands effectively. The failure to enforce democratic governance in Eastern Europe set the stage for nearly 50 years of Soviet domination and the ideological conflict between capitalism and communism. From a communist perspective, the Yalta Conference can be viewed as a triumph for the Soviet Union. It marked the recognition of the USSR as a superpower and legitimized its role in shaping the post-war world. The establishment of communist governments in Eastern Europe was seen as a way to secure the gains of the Soviet people, who had suffered immense losses fighting fascism. In this light, the conference is celebrated as a victory for communism and a demonstration of Stalin's diplomatic skill. In essence, the Yalta Conference is controversial because it involved compromises that allowed the Soviet Union to extend its communist system over Eastern Europe. This contradicted earlier promises of free elections and self-rule. The outcomes of the conference contributed directly to the division of Europe and the onset of the Cold War. While Western leaders are often criticized for their concessions, the conference also represents a significant moment in the history of communism, highlighting Stalin's ability to secure Soviet interests on the global stage.